Hey, what's up, everybody? Can you believe it, man? It's already episode 50 for the YAMATODAMASHI podcast. And we're going to recap some of the stuff. We're going to check out our favorites. And we're going to talk about the future. So don't miss this podcast. It's going to be pretty cool. Right on.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the YAMATODAMASHI podcast. Today it's episode 50. 50 episodes.
5-0.
Yeah, the big 5-0. So before we do something a little bit different, we thought, this episode is called Fan Appreciation. We thought, first of all, we'd like to say a big thank you to all the people that are watching. I know, Enson, you've always had a great relationship with your fans. But, this podcast, this whole experience is new for me. It's cool to see such good feedback.
Yeah. Well, I realize that fan makes fighters. If without fans, there wouldn't be promotions to make events, and without events, there wouldn't need fighters. So pretty much, fans is what makes us. So I never did, even till today, I never did turn on an autograph for a picture ever.
Nice.
And I would never probably do that. So yeah, I mean, I love what we're doing. We get, even if, of course, this. I wish the channel would explode a little more, but just that what every there's a comment every time here and there that just, the podcast helped them through something, or the podcast they really look forward to it. Just that kind of comments, really makes it all worthwhile. So keep it coming.
Yeah, there's some really nice feedback recently. There was a guy, I think, who messaged you on the website, basically saying about how he, just started MMA like a couple of years ago and getting involved with training. And he was saying how like inspiration it is to hear the podcast and stuff. And I was thinking, fuck, this guy's like training in his 40s. He started late. Like that's an inspiration to me. I should do that.
Yeah, pretty cool. I know. Yeah, it's awesome. I'm glad. I'm happy.
And if anyone noticed the thumbnail, maybe you clicked on it because it looks pretty cool. That was by Mono Warriors on Instagram, so make sure you check it out. He did some fan artwork for Enson, and we thought it was cool, so we thought we'd put it as the thumbnail. So
maybe it looked like I was in good shape, man. I like that.
Yeah. I think it's from back in the day.
Maybe it looked buff.
Yeah, he's got some cool stuff there, like Mike Tyson.
He's got good stuff. Yeah, good artist.
So keep at it. So we thought we'd actually break down some of our favorite moments of this podcast and go through some of them. So we're gonna list a couple. I've got a few to reel off. Anson's got a few in his head, and we're gonna put some clips in. We'll remind you guys of some crazy stuff that happened, and let us know in the comments. Let us know what you think. What some of your favorite moments have been. Some of your favorite episodes. We'll be all ears. We'll be happy to hear it. So I wanted to start, there's a couple of different categories, right? Because of the way we do these podcasts, we do event reviews, we break down your career, we do special guests as well. So, but I think one of the first times when I was, when we were breaking down your career, your second fight against Renee Rose, one of the things that always caught me off guard was, how you climb the ropes. You're dealing with the adversity with the elbows and climbing the ropes to get that submission win. And so I can't do a technical breakdown of it, but check out what Enson said in this clip.
Yeah. It was funny because there's no magic reason why. It was looking grim, but for me, I could feel my calves, I could feel my head getting hit, I could feel the toll getting taken on me, and I'm thinking, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'm just going to slowly take damage because there's nothing else that I could have done. I was trying everything that I could think of. And it was real weird because at one point when he was, throughout the round, at one point in the round, I remember thinking, man, this is fucked up. If he can use the ropes, there's some way I can use the ropes. So what I did there was I said, doing what I was doing wasn't working. So I thought I have to do something new. I said, okay, the ropes are the new things. There's something about the ropes. Let me see what I can do with that. So I just randomly climbed up onto the lower level of the ropes. I actually none of my feet were on the ground. So I actually had 2 foot in the corner standing up. And I was up there, and then as soon as I got up, I didn't plan on anything. I was more thinking that, okay, you use the ropes, I use the ropes. So I stood up there, and what I noticed when I got up there was he no longer had the leverage to come down on me. And he didn't have that leverage to hit me in the back of the head and stuff. So I was thinking, okay, this is a lot better. But he also realized that it put him at a disadvantage, or it took away a lot of his advantages. So he kind of shocked me and made me go back to the ground. And I immediately went and climbed back on the ropes again. And then as that's going on, you know, I'm kind of, he's trying to spin. I'm trying to spin. He's he's switching arms on the ropes. And I remember there was one time where, as that was happening, I was on his back. And I was looking straight up his back, and I was saying, holy shit, I'm on his back. And of course, he's 6'7", so I couldn't reach his neck. So with that whole thought in my mind that if he's using the ropes, I can use the ropes, I just instinctively started to climb the ropes. And as I climbed the 2 of the ropes, he was so adamant about just holding on to the ropes. I don't think he was that worried about what I was doing on the ropes. So it gave me that split second time enough to climb up and get on his back and wrap his neck.
Yeah, so it was a wild fight with Rene Rose, man.
Yeah, they were interesting with that fight. I don't know if I mentioned it in the podcast or not, but everything went so well, but nothing was planned. Basically, from gong to end was pretty ad lib. You know, like the climbing the ropes, getting the choke on the back, you know, all those stuff wasn't like, oh, good plan. That was a good idea. Foot stomping was decided in the locker room because we figured he had big feet and it was probably easy to break, you know. So, I mean, all this stuff, you know, the whole plan was he's going to attack me because he's an aggressive fighter. And that whole thing went out the window when he just stood there like, what are we going to do now? You know, it was like, there's no plan B. So yeah, that was an interesting fight.
Yeah. So if you guys missed it, it's, you know, the audio is a little bit rough compared to what we have now, but go back and check it out. It's an amazing story. It's a really cool fight. Just on that note about, you know, some of the episodes we've done so far in your career, I was wondering, I mean, is there a particular favorite one of those fights that you like talking about?
What did we go? What did we cover until?
So we just did the rematch with Joe Estes for the Shooto Heavyweight Championship, but before we had your UFC fight. You know, we had some of the losses, like Igor Zinoviev. We had the Mushtaq Abdullah fight, you know, the rebound fight. So
yeah, I think for me a big thing is for me, you know, the podcast. What intrigues me about doing the podcast is being able to, you know, something I say or the way I think, if it's able to help somebody. So for me, I think the ones that I feel real good about is the ones after losses. You know, going through my thought process. You know, of course the Genovia fight, and the one we just did, the Joe Estes. You know, my whole thing about writing a book, when I wrote a book, and I think a part of it is doing the podcast, is I'm probably one of the most misunderstood fighters / persons there is in the MMA world. You know, people have the whole misconception because my frame of mind and my thought process is a lot different from the normal person. And, you know, you can only speculate on what you think I'm thinking, why he did that. Why is Enson so mad at Joe Estes? Why is Enson doing this? Why, you know, so I love when I can break that down and have people understand. And, you know, sometimes if even if you're not a fighter, you're going through a situation at work that's the same thing. You know, you lost you lost the job, or you lost the project. You didn't do well in the project. You got to get back on your feet. You got another project the following month. You know, I feel like, man, if this kind of stuff that I went through my fighting career can be used for other people to help them in their life, and maybe sometimes save a life. It's so worth it. So I love those when the I cover the losses and then make people understand a lot of the stuff that is misunderstood, or something that you can't really know what's going on. You only can speculate by just watching the fight.
Yeah, definitely, man. I think the fans really appreciate your honesty. And, the Eagles Inoue one really stuck out to me just because it was at that point where you nearly quit MMA. If you guys didn't see it, check out this clip. This is Enson talking about how he nearly quit MMA.
In my whole career, it was like the heaviest loss I've ever took. It hit me so hard. And, I think the big reason why it hit me so hard was because I trained so hard for it. I trained so hard for that fight, and for it to end in 39 seconds was like, man, this sport is just too unpredictable. And I had this weird lost feeling in me thinking like, man, is this worth it? I'm no good in this. I can't do this sport. And the funny thing is as I had that big insecurity, when we're walking back to the ring, Egan leans over to me, and Egan comes over to me and goes, man, this MMA shit, there's too much to cover. We gotta just go back to jiu-jitsu. And that's not what I needed to hear at the point. At the time when I was my pride was hurt, my ego was down, and my confidence level was really low. Hearing that, I was like kind of like jumping on the bandwagon. And honestly, at the time, as we were walking back to the locker room, in my head, it was, yeah, Egan's right. This MMA shit's too difficult to cover. I mean, one punch and all of a sudden, all that training's down the tubes. I felt deflated. I felt like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I was really in that point. If I ever thought of quitting, it was that time right now. Joash's fight, I was motivated to train harder and get bigger, put on muscle, and come out again. And this Genovia fight, man, I trained so hard. I just felt like, man, I don't know. And then it didn't help when Egan just plugged it, and I was like, man, fuck, really? I don't know about this.
So it's as you say. I think it's cool that you get a little bit of closure as well doing these episodes, right? I mean, you get to look.
You know what's good too that I want to point out to viewers is that I 100% guarantee that there's not a single bit of trying to look cool, trying to sound tough. Everything, maybe sometimes in a fight to disguise my fear or my pain, I would hide it in front of the opponent, or before the fight, I would, play a certain way because I didn't want the opponent to know this and that. But, my career is over. I'm just enjoying the afterlife. And for me, the like I said, the podcast is to be understood. I 100% guarantee that everything I'm saying on this podcast there's no disguise. There's no camouflage to hide this or be tough about this and that. I'm giving you my raw feelings. Like, if you thought Enson was this guy, you'd be surprised if you watch this, if you had this idea that Enson is this samurai that never fears anything. No fear, no pain, I mean, I want to reveal that there's a lot of things that you think, and I'm going to tell you straight up from my heart. There's no hidden disguise on anything. I'm going to tell you as it is. So I think that's what a lot of people is going to find interesting in the podcast.
Yeah, definitely. It's just, as you say, it's so raw. It's just like, this is exactly who you are, and it's you putting out your thoughts. And it's cool as well because it's some of these fights were such a long time ago that you actually get to put like your perspective on after it and say, hey, 20 years later on, this is how I felt about it. So really, really cool.
That's true.
So I'm going to switch topics a little bit. We've had some really cool guests. We've had a real variety of guests as well, right? And
really,
a lot of people have contacted you about being on the podcast, and it's just kind of one way. It's just timing, schedules. We've had to sort of see like who we can fit in, where we can fit in. But I'm just curious. I mean, is there a couple of guests off episodes that really sort of were some of your favorites?
Yeah, for me, the guests that really stand out and I really enjoyed was the guests that helped me reminisce the past. Like, for example, Rampages was really good because we used to hang out at the after party, and we actually partied one night on a New Year's Eve in Roppongi in Tokyo. You know, that you know, I mean, just seeing. I haven't seen Rampage in ages. The last time I saw well, it was like a 8-year blank before I never saw Rampage. I just so happened to be in California once, saw him for a brief moment, went to visit him. Me and Sarah just hung out with him a little while. And then I didn't see him for another 6 years, you know. So to see Rampage is really nice. I mean, and putting martial arts aside, the two that really stand out to me is like the one that we did with Fred, the guy who broke the chair on my back. Because it was, you know, it was his bucket list to talk to me.
Yeah.
And it was something that, you know, I lived such a crazy life that even something as traumatizing as that kind of went on the side, and I pretty much didn't really remember it until it was brought up. Like, holy shit, that's right, that happened to me. You know, so something like that was like, wow. It was, and you know, Guy Humphrey, the street fight in Seattle.
Yeah.
You know, Guy, fuck, you know what, you know, Guy Humphrey, we toured the Racquetball Tour like for years. I think it was for 4 years. We've picked up chicks together. He's been dumped by a chick and he was sad. We've won and celebrated matches. We've lost matches we're supposed to win. We've trained. We had arguments, you know. We had disagreements on stuff. We laughed a lot. You know, there's so much. I mean, Guy Humphrey is like a part of my life, man. And, you know, he lives in Kansas City. And the only time you go to Kansas City if you're driving through Kansas City. There's nothing in Kansas City. So it's like a joke. Like, yeah, I went to Kansas City because I had to drive through. I had to get to the next state. You know,
Right.
But, you know, so we haven't seen each other.
Yeah.
For ages. We've flashed in and out of Facebook messaging, hey, how you doing? What's up? That's it. You know, so that was for me. I mean, aside even the situation, the reminiscing the fight was crazy, but
yeah,
I almost felt like it was like a catch up. It was so nice, you know. So
yeah,
you know, for me that kind of stuff really stand out. You know, we got future guests coming on too, you know, that I'm really looking forward to. You know, there's some guests that I'm sure fans would have questions on that. I also have questions. Like, I want to get Joe Estes on one day.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I want to talk. Mauro Sperry has already agreed to talk, and I'm looking forward to talking to him. Dan Hardy was a fighter that I really enjoyed watching. He's willing to come on, you know. So all these people in the future that I'm looking forward to, you know. Of course, like you said, I'm in Japan, you're in the UK, and they're either in the US, the East Coast, or the West Coast, or Hawaii, you know. So making all those times collaborate, it's pretty hard.
Yeah. No, it's, like you say, though, we've had such good guests like so far. Like, as you say, Guy Humphreys was actually a wicked storyteller as well, right? He was so good.
Yeah.
And he was cracking out stories that were like unrelated to the topic, which were awesome. You know, the diving story as well. That was really fun. So
someone I forgot about, man.
Yeah, and like the episode with Fred, what was cool about Fred was that whole timing was super weird. Like for people that don't know the context behind that episode, you were in Hawaii. He randomly pulled up in his truck and he said, hey, I think I know you, right? And then you were like, who the fuck is this guy? He points over to the building, which was the building where he broke the chair over your head. And you were like, you guys end up talking. You say, hey, come on the podcast. And yeah, it was a really fun episode. And he was a super nice guy, Fred. So I hope he's doing well.
Yeah.
But we have to talk about the Rampage episode because that was one of my personal favorites. Just because hearing you guys talk about all the differences in Pride was, you know, some of the treatment that Rampage got wasn't the best compared to how you guys were. And in particular, I'm just going to show you guys this quick clip about yellow cards in Pride because that to me was a big shocker. About
that was a shock for me too, man.
Yeah, so check it out. Oh man,
I forgot all about that.
Yeah. Well, here's another one, right? So it's funny actually because you put this on your Instagram the other day, right, about the yellow cards, which and I remember, which was really harsh, right? Because Enson, you would have benefited from the yellow cards because some of the fighters that fought you in Pride, you know, we did a proper bit of a lay and pray job. Sorry, Mark, but you know, for you, Rampage, that the fight with Randleman, right? That was harsh with the yellow card. But what I really wanted to know was the fight you fought the Russian guy, Mikhail, I think his name was. You gave the referee a yellow card. And I always wanted to, like, right before the fight, right? And I always wanted to know, like, did you get like any heat backstage? Like, that probably didn't help your relations, right, with Pride.
No, at this time, I was like, fuck Pride, because the way they treated me and they didn't promote me. I said, I'm gonna stand now. I'm gonna promote myself. The only thing that came from that is that they made my first toy with the fucking yellow card. I was probably like the most yellow carded fighter in Pride, and I always push the action. They just wanted to take 10% of my fucking money.
Wait,
really.
Did they actually take 10? Did they actually take 10% from you? They did.
Yeah, they took 10% of my fucking money every time, except for that randomman. Except for that.
Wow,
Huh?
I think I got 2 yellow cards, but they never touched my fight money.
Damn.
I thought it was just something they showed and bullshitted. Whoa, they actually cut your pay.
Bro, they cut my fucking pay. They took 10% of my fucking money every time. The only time they didn't take 10% of my money is that one they gave with Randomman, because I was like, I'm not the one started. I'm the one pressing the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And then I knocked them out right after they gave me the yellow card. And it's like Kabara was like, yeah, we're not going to take 10% of your money this time.
Wow.
So it was a scam. It was a scam the whole time.
Yeah, because they never took 10% from my fight. Not at all. They didn't touch my money.
You
think something like
he owed me like $100,000.
Whoa.
Wow, they didn't take anything from me, man.
Cool. So there you have it. Like, it was a surprising time, right? Pride seems different set of rules for you, man.
It's one of those things. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Is my biggest pet peeve is when I meet people that'll treat other people different depending on their status. And one of my big pet peeves is people who come and chase you down in a car. They chase you down, and then when they see how big you are, or they see your tattoos, they think you're a Yakuza, they turn off and they all of a sudden feel nice. For some reason, those kind of people piss me off even more, because I always image, like, what if it was Sarah and he saw a lady come up? That guy would probably go off, So for me, that's like a huge pet peeve. And, talking to Rampage about how Pride treated him, I mean, it's exactly what they did. They knew they couldn't use Yakuza status on me. They were afraid of me. I was like a walking time bomb. They could not predict me or control me. And, they had the ace up the sleeve with guys like Mark Kerr, Igor Vovachanchin, Rampage Jackson, where, they wanted to fight in Pride. That was their big dream. So they pretty much had to go by the rules of Pride. Rampage fought Sakuraba with a 2 weeks notice, and then they gave him a weight class that he had to make, and he had to drop a huge amount of weight. Igor Vovachanchin, one of the biggest names and one of the biggest draws in Pride, I hear he was getting paid $30,000 a fight only.
Wow.
Yeah, so that kind of thing, because in Russia $30,000 goes a long way. Mm-hmm. And Igor is such a nice guy and quiet and doesn't speak his part. He gets taken advantage of. So, it was, kind of sad, and Pride was Pride never dies. It's like one of the biggest promotions and one of the most exciting times of mixed martial arts. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, the behind the scenes of Pride was, there's a lot of black marks on it, man.
Yeah. I hope one day that, they can make things right, with the fighters, and at least with Rampage, maybe like through his son or something like that, maybe one day. Because obviously a lot of the people involved in Pride are involved in Ryzen. So who knows? You never know. Hopefully we get some reconciliations down the line. But as we go through, different episodes, there's one episode I wanted to talk about in particular, just because the view count was never that high. And I was always shocked because for me, it was one of the most moving episodes we did. And that was the episode that we did about the help you did with the tsunami. Yeah, I love that episode, man, because it was 11 years to the day when we recorded it. And there was just, you see bits and pieces on your social media about some of the stuff you've done and some of the stuff you've done over the years, but to actually just have one sort of story about it, this is how where I was when I heard of the tsunami, my initial reaction, what happened. Just a really, really, really interesting episode. And the clip that I wanted to post in the video was actually when you talked about going into the radiation zone and actually helping the dogs, because I don't know, it struck a chord with me, because it's the little things like that which I'm sure people forgot, but I mean, you're risking your lives for stray animals. And anyway, watch the clip. You do a better you do it more justice than I do telling it. So
What happened was I realized that there's not much I can do in the radiation zone.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to help a dog sanctuary that we got word that they needed help. So we went and bought dog food. Me and Darren came up to Japan. We bought a whole shitload of dog food. We brought it to them. And then the lady that was working that place told me that they're going to be going into the zone to rescue dogs or feed dogs. So I said, oh shit, I want to go in too. So we went in. I bought a whole shitload of food, mixed like 3 buckets of food. So we'd go out and find dogs. We couldn't bring them out. We'd find dogs and we'd dump the food on the road so they can come and eat. And it was, what was real amazing? It was like a month after the whole thing hit.
Yeah.
But these dogs that craved human love were totally afraid of us.
Really?
Yeah, it's funny because the dogs will just fall back to their primal, their instincts. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they started running in packs. They started killing off the weak, totally like a wolf pack.
Wow.
They had territories where this dog was a leader of this territory with his group. So we'd go there and I'd dump food on them. And you can tell they're hungry because a lot of them are skinny. They would come out for the food. And if I try to pet them, they'll like shy away. Yeah, it was unreal, man. Some puppies too. It's like, wow, these dogs, I cannot believe a month ago these dogs craved human love.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now they're like totally afraid of humans.
Yeah, that is mental.
So it was frustrating because all we could do is feed them and leave,
So yeah, I mean, it was a couple of months ago now since we did that episode. But any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy because that whole incident was like a compounded incident. It wasn't just an earthquake. It wasn't just a tsunami. It wasn't just a nuclear meltdown. It was like a grand slam. You had all these huge incidents. I mean, the size of the earthquake, a 9.0 on the Richter scale. I mean, that's already like, that alone is like, what the fuck? And then you got the whole coast of Japan getting devastated by a tsunami that actually went up almost, I think one of the towns I went to went up all the way to the 5th floor of a hospital. I mean, and then you talk about anywhere in the world, this would be crazy, is a nuclear plant meltdown. It's like, what the fuck, So, yeah, for me, like I said, spiritually, you need to live yourself spiritually. You have to take care of your spiritual self, and I think it oversteps the physical. And for me, because of my fame, because of my name, I just felt that there's things that I could do to help the people. So, and I just felt that if I didn't do anything, then it would damage my spiritual life, which I do not want to do. Even driving up north to check out my friends, that was a hard time because they had a ration of gasoline, highways were cracked, the roads were closed, so it was hard to get up there. When I finally get up there to a town called Sendai, I have to line up for gas and they won't give you a full tank. So already the earthquake I've seen buildings collapsed on cars, and just that devastation. Then I go up more north and I visit the tsunami areas and walk, and there's bodies all over the place. Just the smell is a smell that I've never smelled before and hope I never have to smell again.
Yeah, I bet.
And then, you got, I feel like, I don't want to see that kind of shit. I don't want to have to deal with that. I don't want to, after helping out with the cleanup, I would drive 3 hours to my hotel, the nearest hotel. And I felt like shit, man. There was some kind of like a little knot in my heart that just made you realize that life is fucking horrible, man. I remember that. I remember driving. Every time I drove away, I felt like shit. Like, man, this is what the fuck? Life is horrible, man. And then, you know, I'm spending my money to do all that. Just staying out there. I would go out there like 2 or 3 weeks at a time. Yeah. So for me, it was something that I felt I had to do. And then when I heard from a source that there are people stuck in the radiation, or people that are refusing to leave the radiation. You know, there's old people. That's actually what made me want to go into radiation at first. It wasn't the dogs. It was that I heard that there are elder people that don't want to move, and they don't care about the radiation. They need to stay at home. So I thought, okay, we'll bring food to those people.
Yeah.
And right when we were going to end, we got blocked off where they made it an exclusion zone where you couldn't get into a certain radius of the nuclear plant. And then I heard about the dogs, and then for me it was like I just imaged it happening to my house. And when I had my dog Shuto, because you know the government tells you just leave everything. You gotta leave now. It's an emergency. You'll be back tomorrow. If you're okay, put dog food in my dog on my dog tray. Close the door. Fill it with water. We'll be right back. You don't get to go back for months. You know, for me, that I felt for me that they don't have a voice. They're the dogs. And they're like the most loyal thing. You can scold them and spank them, and the second you forgive them, they're kissing you and licking you. And it's like, you're their world. You know, you're the one that take them on to walks. If you don't give them food, they're not going to eat. If you don't give them love, they don't get love. You know, so you're their world, and you disappear on them. I mean, just for me, it just broke my heart. And when I heard that I had a chance to get into the exclusion zone, that was one of my big things. Like, I wanted to see the situation. And I thought we can bring in dog food or cat food and try and feed the animals. Yeah. You know, for me too, the big thing for me was that it's like, I didn't want to go in blind, but I didn't want to, you know, physically say, oh, fuck radiation. I ain't going to radiation. So I did do a lot of research on radiation. And, you know, I pushed it it's my personality that I push it to a limit. So, I mean, so far I'm fine, you know. So hopefully there was no permanent damage that was done by radiation for me. But yeah, I mean, it just felt like it was something I had to do, man.
Yeah. No, it's an awesome episode, guys. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's really cool. Any other episodes that stick out in your mind?
No, I guess, I mean, for me, all these episodes are real important to me. I really feel a deep connection to all these episodes because these are episodes. I mean, of course, if we decided to do an episode on it, it was something that had a big impact in my life. So for me, I mean, they're pretty, like I said, you know, reminiscing was always good. You know, like Guy Humphrey and, you know, talking with Fred was also awesome. Yeah.
Brent as well, right? He had some memories.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, so, you know, there's a lot. Even Darren, the time we got run over the Yakuza. So that was pretty cool for, you know, the Darren. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of them. I mean, I can't really pinpoint one that was like, that's the one I loved. You know, there's so many, all of them are dear to me.
Yeah, it's the same for me. You know, when I've gone back and had a look at some of them as well, it's just cool that each one's so different. So there's always, you know, but yeah, hopefully, like I say, let us know in the comments what you guys think, what some of your favorite episodes are, and also what you guys want to see in the future, right? Because, you know, a lot of these topics we just come up with out the blue. Like, one week Enson will say, hey, let's do this topic on this, or I'll come up with an idea, or I'll see something from years ago, like that punk versus hip hop thing, and we'll say, hey, we should talk about this. So, you know, if there's anything you guys ever want, any questions from back in the day that you wanted to ask Enson, this podcast is your platform. Let us know.
Yeah, anything. No holds barred for me.
Exactly. So just to wrap it up, before we talk about maybe like the future of the podcast, you know, it's not going anywhere. So, I mean, you want to talk about plans for it?
Yeah, it's funny. When you said 50th episode, I was thinking, wow, we just kind of just scraped the tip of the iceberg. It's like, whoa. So, you know, like you know, we've talked about it. The future of it is about my past. It's about all my chapters in my book I want to cover. Then we got all the fights of my career. And then you got this. I live a life like a movie. So the incidents in my life, the episodes, I call them episodes, your happenings or episodes in my life. And, there's a lot more. There's things that I currently still do. Like we just talked about, I go to Thailand. And I've been to Thailand. I'd say I've been to Thailand over 30, 40 times already. So it's a regular trip. I have a regular hotel I stay in. I do a health check, and that's super interesting. So that would be something really interesting for you guys to see. And then you have even in Thailand, I gotta go see Santi and Noise Gym. So there's a lot of stuff, man. And then the future, got Tsuyoshi gonna fight. He's been training at the Couture gym. So even with those guys, I was thinking that might be a good sit down and talk, So, I kind of want to do what people want to see. So, the future is like there's so much to do. I mean, I even want to do something on a lot of my interests, like the kois, more in depth with the Destiny Forever bracelets. There's so much. My love is Hawaii. We got to do an episode there, So James has got to take a trip to Hawaii.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, I mean,
I think Thailand.
There's so many. Yeah, Thailand.
Talking about Thailand first, right? For this gonna be a big episode, I think, to recap the life.
That'd be super awesome. Yeah.
So, but yeah, definitely Hawaii, Japan. Be cool to even like maybe go up north to Japan and visit some of those places we discussed, in the tsunami. Go back and maybe see how things have come along since that time. So, and some of the
what's interesting too? We can go back and visit some of the people that I helped.
Yeah, definitely. Be cool to see how they're getting on. So, yeah, there's a real scope for this podcast. So, considering how much content is out there, how many other podcasts and videos and interviews and everything, the fact that you guys are watching this means the world to us. So, thank you guys so much. Any parting words?
No, like James said, what's real important is we need to know, and it would really help to know what you guys want to see. Like, Enson, I heard about this. Can you elaborate on this situation? Something. There's, like I said, my life is like so much like a movie. There's so much that happened that, I mean, something that would be embedded in someone's mind for a lifetime. I have 50 of them, so I forgot half of them. So if there's anything you guys heard on the internet or rumors that you hear or anything that, you want to hear about what I did or what happened with me, message us, let us know, because I would love to cover whatever you guys want to see.
Awesome. As always, thanks everybody for watching, and we will talk to you again soon.